The legal and ethical implications of military engagement against U.S. citizens. A case study of Jermaine Morton. The question of whether the United States Army has the authority to engage a U.S. citizen, such as Jermaine Morton, in military operations raises profound legal and ethical issues rooted in constitutional law, civil rights, and national security. This essay explores these complexities, emphasizing the implications of targeting a U.S. citizen and the fundamental principles of democracy and justice. Legal framework. At the core of the debate is the Constitution, particularly the 5th and 14th Amendments, which guarantee due process rights to all individuals. The notion of due process is critical when considering military action against a U.S. citizen. Under the Constitution, the government cannot deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Therefore, if the Army were to target Jermaine Morton, it would necessitate a legal basis justifying such an action beyond mere suspicion or allegation. In addition to constitutional protections, several federal laws and regulations govern the use of military force. The Posse Comitatus Act, for instance, restricts the use of the Army in domestic law enforcement unless explicitly authorized by Congress or the Constitution. This act underscores the principle of civilian oversight over military power, aiming to prevent the military from operating as a law enforcement agency within the United States. Ethical considerations. Beyond the legal implications, ethical considerations also play a pivotal role in this discourse. The use of military force against a U.S. citizen raises questions about civil liberties and the moral obligations of the state to protect its citizens, even those accused of wrongdoing. Engaging in military action against Morton would not only violate his rights but could also set a dangerous precedent, signaling that the government can bypass due process in favor of expediency. Moreover, the potential for collateral damage and the consequences of normalizing military action against citizens could lead to a slippery slope where the government justifies increasingly aggressive measures against individuals who may be deemed threats. Such actions could foster an environment of fear and distrust among the populace, undermining the very foundations of democracy and civil society. National security versus civil liberties. In discussions surrounding national security, the balance between ensuring public safety and upholding civil liberties often becomes contentious. Proponents of military action may argue that immediate threats necessitate swift and decisive action, even against U.S. citizens. However, history has shown that actions taken in the name of national security can often infringe upon individual rights, leading to wrongful accusations and the targeting of innocent individuals. A comprehensive approach to national security should prioritize intelligence and law enforcement methods that respect constitutional rights instead of resorting to military engagement. Authorities must focus on collaborative efforts between agencies to address threats while maintaining the legal and ethical standards that define American democracy. Conclusion. The question of whether the United States Army has the clearance to attack a U.S. citizen like Jermaine Morton is not merely a legal issue but a reflection of the values and principles that underpin the nation. Upholding the Constitution and protecting civil liberties must remain paramount, even in the face of perceived threats. Engaging a citizen through military means without due process would not only violate legal standards but also compromise the ethical integrity of the state. In navigating the delicate balance between national security and civil rights, the United States must remain vigilant in protecting the freedoms and rights of all its citizens. The implications of military involvement in civilian trade secrets. A case study of Jermaine Morton. The intersection of military authority and civilian rights raises critical questions, particularly when it comes to the protection of trade secrets and personal information. If the United States Army were to arbitrarily access, misappropriate, or attack the inventions and trade secrets of a U.S. citizen like Jermaine Morton, it would pose significant legal, ethical, and societal challenges. This essay explores these dimensions, emphasizing the importance of safeguarding individual rights and the implications of military overreach in civilian affairs. Legal framework for trade secrets and personal information. The protection of trade secrets in the United States is primarily governed by the Uniform Trade Secrets Act and the Economic Espionage Act, which outline the legal criteria for what constitutes a trade secret and the penalties for misappropriation. Trade secrets are defined as information that provides a business advantage over competitors who do not know or use it. For Jermaine Morton, any unauthorized access or misappropriation of his inventions and associated trade secrets by the military would constitute a violation of these laws. Furthermore, the U.S. Constitution provides protections related to personal privacy and property rights. The Fourth Amendment safeguards against unreasonable searches and seizures, implying that any military intervention into Morton's personal or proprietary information would require due process. The absence of valid legal clearance or justification for the military's actions against a civilian would not only violate Morton's rights but also undermine the rule of law. Ethical considerations. From an ethical standpoint, the military's involvement in matters of trade secrets and personal information raises serious concerns about the integrity of government institutions. The principles of fairness, justice, and respect for individual rights are foundational to a democratic society. If the United States Army were to engage in actions that misappropriate Morton's inventions, it would set a dangerous precedent, suggesting that state power can override individual rights for the sake of expediency or perceived national interest. Moreover, such actions could foster a culture of distrust between citizens and the government. Individuals like Morton, who invest significant time and resources into developing their inventions, rely on the assurance that their intellectual property will be protected. A breach of this trust can lead to a chilling effect where innovation and creativity are stifled, hampering economic growth and progress. National security versus individual rights. The tension between national security and individual rights is a persistent theme in discussions surrounding government authority. Proponents of military intervention in civilian affairs may argue that protecting national interests justifies aggressive actions, including the appropriation of trade secrets. However, history has shown that prioritizing national security over individual rights can lead to abuses of power and the erosion of civil liberties. A responsible approach to national security should involve collaboration between military, law enforcement, and civilian sectors, ensuring that any actions taken are lawful and respect the rights of individuals. The government must pursue intelligence gathering and protective measures that do not compromise the legal protections afforded to citizens like Jermaine Morton. Conclusion. The hypothetical scenario in which the United States Army misappropriates Jermaine Morton's trade secrets or personal information underscores critical legal and ethical considerations. Upholding the rule of law and protecting individual rights must remain central to any discussion of military authority and civilian life. Engaging in actions that violate these principles would not only harm Morton but also threaten the foundational tenets of democracy and justice in America. In navigating the complexities of national security and individual rights, it is imperative that the United States government maintains a clear boundary between military and civilian domains. Protecting trade secrets and personal information is not only a legal obligation but also a moral imperative that fosters trust and innovation in society. As the landscape of threats evolves, the government must find ways to balance these competing interests without compromising the rights and freedoms of its citizens.